guys? It's your boy GP with DeOrganized Media, bringing you another awesome episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars into the same room, have a dope conversation about the Bitcoin news, the world news, the alpha fresh and hot off the presses. You name it, we got it, and we're bringing it to you live. I hope you have had a very high frequency Tuesday. We have some very bullish news. It looks like the Genius Bill has passed, is what I'm being told. We've got some base chads in the house tonight. We've got a lot to talk about, and we're starting just a little bit late, but nothing to worry about. We're still gonna bring you the alpha, and keep you in the know like the organized does. So let's get straight into it. I've got a small news segment for you, just touching on the main points before I bring the guys up. And this is not the bookmarks, of course. GP, leave it to GP. Now I'm watching myself talk here. Let me bring up my bookmarks. Okay. All right, coming from the legend of all stacks legends, Jack Bin Switch, and you can follow him at Jack Bin Switch. CBDC under a different name. It's Genius at 42. Here we go. Let's look at this. So AML slash BSA compliance. Issuers and custodians must be able to freeze tokens on lawful order. Treasury may block non-compliant foreign stablecoins. Wow. CBDC in disguise, based from Jackson Switch here. It's genius, he says. Coming from the main Stacks handle, and you can follow that at Stacks. We've got leading institutional digital asset service provider Copper HQ launched support for SBTC. A big win for BTC-Fi. Copper's MPC technology delivers secure digital asset custody to clients. A big unlock for new institutions wanting to make their Bitcoin productive with Stacks. Very, very awesome. Copper is based, and you can follow them at Copper HQ, just like this. See it here? Followed. Very, very cool. I showed you how to follow people, keeping you in the know. Damn, I'm telling you. All right, so moving on to the Bitflow camp, and you can follow them at Bitflow_finance. Your pets are bored. Let them run wild on Bitflow, on the Bitflow barn, and earn for you. Drop off your dog, your Leo, your Welsh, your billion-dollar cat, and Roo. Then go touch your ass while they earn. No leash required. Very cool here, and look at this little infographic of all the memes, 10 tokens within the Stacks ecosystem. If you did not know, you can pair up your SIP10 tokens with some SDX, get an LP pair, and then go to the farm on Bitflow and put them to work for base APY. Very, very cool. I love it. I am bullish on SIP10 tokens, so I am actually participating in a few different farms. Very cool. And I'm also participating in the new Flex pool. It has single-sided staking essentially, or you can stacking where you could stack your STX without having to pair it with STSTX, or vice versa. You could take your STSTX and then go put it over there, and then you're earning the 8% up to 10% for stacking your stacks for STSTX, and then another 10% on top. So max APY 20%. Very, very base. Moving on, from the Hermetica camp, you can follow them at Hermetica-Fi. USDH isn't here to replace Bitcoin. It's a stable unit of account on Bitcoin. When you hold USDH, you can hold a dollar-backed Bitcoin. Watch founder Jacob break it down. Let's take a look at this here. Let me rewind it, turn this up just a bit, and let's hear about what Jacob got to say.
And I think it's one of the most attractive ways to earn a sustainable yield on your dollars if you just want to hold Bitcoin. Because at the end of the day, if you hold USDH, you're still holding Bitcoin, right? You're holding $1 worth of Bitcoin. And how the yield works is it's pretty straightforward. Since we're short the futures markets, there is a funding rate that we collect. So futures markets need to balance the supply and demand of the future market. And since the crypto markets are structurally prone to be long. Like folks want to be long the assets. They want to have a long exposure to the asset. And we are essentially providing that long exposure to folks. We're selling futures to them, and they're willing to pay us for that privilege. That's how you can think of it. And that is expressed through an interest rate that is paid between longs and shorts every 8 hours in the futures markets, called the funding rate. And since we're short on the futures markets, we collect that funding rate every 8 hours and then pass that on to people that stake the stablecoin.
Base as fuck. I'm telling you, Jacob, this guy right here, I got to meet him in Bitcoin Vegas, and he is a base chat, and I love USDH. I am actually utilizing the I'm taking my STSTX, supplying it on Zest, and borrowing USDH to lever up my position in Stacks. So many different based ways you can earn within the Stacks ecosystem with your asset, including Bitcoin. So come over into the Stacks ecosystem and check it out. Coming from the Zest protocol camp, and you can follow them at Zest protocol. Another Zest weekly recap is here. Let's dive into the numbers. Let's see. AEUSDC deposits up 18.50%. Let's go. Stacks community continues to park more stables on Zest. Better to earn yield on idle liquidity while waiting for the next opportunity. Base. Going to like and going to share that. There you go. Want to earn over 50% APY on your stablecoin? That's the yield on Arcadico's USDA deposited on Zest right now. But yields like this don't stay under the radar for long. They are also what are they calling, offboarding Deco from their platform. More on that in a little bit. Talk on that. STX loans are up 3.45%, and AUSD loans are up 3.49%. With STX borrowing at 5.77%, some users are likely borrowing to stack and amplify their stacking yield. Hey, that makes sense. Sound a little familiar? Steady growth in borrowing remains a healthy sign of a rising demand for leverage and liquidity. Very, very basic. I love it, and I will share that because that's what I was just talking about doing with USDH. STX LSTs, or liquid stacking tokens, are yielding close to 9% APY this cycle. Could drive more borrowing as stacking yield helps offset borrowing costs over the next 2 weeks. Lovely. Very, very lovely. That's a wrap on another Zesty week. See you next Tuesday for the next weekly recap edition. Stay zesty. Note, the recap is not financial advice, and Zest and other app yields are variable at any time. Very, very base update from the Zest camp. I am the community manager of Zest Protocol, so you should definitely get into the Discord. We have daily rumbles, weekly challenges, game nights coming up on Friday. We're going to be playing Find Earn with the Skullcoin crew, and for based prizes. So go in there for your chance to win a Zest community chest. And big shout out to our sponsors of the Zest community chest. You should also be getting some exposure to Leo, Rue, Flat, SDSDX, base sponsors, and base community founders building cool shit on Stacks. Base builders build on Bitcoin via Stacks. That's the way it is, and I'm sticking to it. Coming from the Stacking DAO camp, you can follow them at Stacking DAO. Why 20 million plus SDSDX BTC have been minted on Stacking DAO in under 6 months. Tycho explains how it solves a key need for STX holders using STX LST liquid stacking tokens in DeFi while earning BTC yield. And I want to listen to this too. Let's listen to this real quick. This base guy right here. And I met Tycho and at the Bitcoin conference as well. This dude's buff. This dude's jacked. Base founder.
And that product has attracted a lot of new capital because there was a lot of capital on the sidelines that wanted to use, they wanted a liquid token, right, for their stake position, but they didn't want to give up on having BTC yield. And I believe we're probably one of the first or only LSTs in the world, right, that had a yielding token that's not the staked token. So most of our growth, and most of Stacking DAO's growth today comes from that new staked Stacks BTC product. It's still quite small, but it's the only pool that's zero funds in the entire ecosystem. So if people want to lock up their stakes for a long time and just native stack, there's also that option. We expect a lot of growth from that too. But for now, yeah, the real driver has been the SBTC yielding staked stacks BTC.
Well, it's not bad to earn some BTC, that's for certain.
And that product,
Not bad to earn some BTC. How about earning BTC with 0 fees? That is based, good sir. Better come correctly or don't come at all. I'm just kidding. This guy was interviewing Tycho, and he was a based interviewer. So you could see him with the Stacking Dow team shirt there. And look at this Chad, dude. Look at this Chad right here. Anyways, moving on. Enough admiring Tycho here. Tycho, we love you. Keep on going. All right. So Engine Labs has raised 70 million from A16Z and launched Engine Cloud, aiming to turn Ethereum restaking into a programmable trust layer for Web 2 and Web 3 applications. Maybe we discussed a little something about maybe buying a Web 2 app last night on DeOrganized Nightly with Rosar, and then maybe turning that into a Web 3 app. I don't know. Really cool ideas. Maybe somebody hears this and then gets inspired about, an idea. Treasury Secretary Besant says crypto stablecoins can lower government borrowing costs and reduce national debt. No duh. There's no banks involved, right? Like, get a better deal. Base Chad right here. And let's see. BBVA, Spain's second largest bank, is advising wealth clients to invest a portion of their portfolios into Bitcoin and Ethereum. Base. Pump Fund or Rug Fund got their and their founder got their accounts back on X. That was a big thing. Elon Musk XAI is set to raise 4.3 billion. JP Morgan has filed a JPMD trademark for crypto services. Over 97 million long positions were liquidated in just 1 hour today. Moving on. Coinbase seeks approval from SEC to offer blockchain-based stocks. Bitcoin ETFs saw strong inflows today. Sol ETF approval odds have jumped by from 63 to 76% in the last 24 hours. And Bitcoin's direct production cost is expected to exceed $70,000 in Q2 2025 as network hash rate continues to rise. It was skyrocketing the other day. And this is the big one. The U.S. Senate is set to vote on the Genius Act stablecoin bill today at 4:30 ET. And I think it went down, and we have some base chat to talk about this and how it will affect our industry. So let me bring on our friends. We've got the legend of Stacks legend, Jackson Switch, in the house. What's up, Jack? We've got Prince K BTC. What's up, Prince K? And we've got Ace in the house as well tonight. What's up, fellas? How are we doing on this lovely Tuesday?
Hey, GM guys.
We're doing good, man.
GM Jack,
Prince K.
GM GP, what's good?
That's good, dude. I'm glad to have you, man.
Prince K
Yeah, dude.
house.
I was really excited for Friday. There's supposed to be him and Bolypick and Nas. And Prince K had some technical difficulties, and now he's here on Tuesday. So I'm really glad to have you here, man. It's great. It's great. Seriously. Prince K, if just gonna give you a little introduction, has been a content creator and supporter of just about every project in Stack for a very long time, and now is starting to talk in spaces. Look at him now. He's on a podcast. Blowing up. Let's go. Definitely follow PrinceK.btc. Let's go, man. How we feeling tonight about it, Prince K?
I'm feeling pretty excited, feeling pretty good. I mean, this is the first time that I'm going to be on a live podcast like this with you guys. So, I'm really buzzing, really excited to be here.
Dude, so me and Prince K were talking about basketball one time in the Stacking DAO or Zest Protocol Discords, and I was like, Prince, I said, K, you're tall as shit, aren't you, dude? You're like, you can dunk on people, can't you? Like, he was like, yeah, how'd you know? I was like, I just had a feeling, like when I think Prince K, I think of like he's like 7 foot tall and just puts his hand in the rim, right? But yeah, this is my buddy, man, and a good friend of mine. So, and also a Gigaverse ambassador. So he is an ambassador and rocks a GigaPepe V2 NFT as his X profile picture. So very, very based, and I love it, man. I love how we're kind of coordinating together, kind of getting to work a little bit closer together. I want to shoot over to Ace, man. Ace, haven't seen you this week, man. How are we doing, dude?
You never know if you're going to hear back from Ace.
Yeah,
he always
dude.
has connection
You know what he
issues.
told me though? He said that he's getting that new fiber, that really, really that good internet coming up really soon. So stay tuned. A lot from Ace coming very, very soon. Just having him in the presence it feels good because I feel like my guy's got my back. So, yeah, bullish on you, Ace. Thank you, dude. Thank you, and rocking that awesome Stacks Invader. If you have not checked out Stacks Invader, first DMT NFT collection of its kind ever, definitely go to gamma.io and check out the Stacks. A base founder and a base dev that I know may just be very, very close created that one, right, Jack?
Yeah, Stacks Invaders are awesome. I mean, it literally the best selling NFT of 2024, which isn't like some huge accolade because very few people were buying NFTs.
That makes it a bigger accolade.
Just everything. Everything about it is just awesome. It was just so much fun, the whole process. But I'm proud to see Prince K on here because, yeah, I even tweeted something to this effect out earlier today. Like, AI is just becoming more intrusive, right? Like, it's going to continue to do so, and it's going to do it quicker than we realize it. Okay, so like, if you think about, I lived for about 20 years before the term "just Google it" came into existence.
The word Google was even in the dictionary.
Right. And now, like, that's how big Google was. And now, like, Google search is laying off a bunch of staff because people are using AI. Like, AI is just massive and it's going to keep going. So, like, the skills that matter for now going forward are going to be like your communication skills and your ability to, prove and interact with other humans, right? And so in this very digital world that we've been acclimated to, where like people skills even start to suffer a little bit, like now's the time where you really have to get your people skills as good as they can get, because that's going to be the best opportunities in a world that you're going to have a harder time finding opportunities. We don't know how this AI thing is going to shake out, but it doesn't look like it's going to overall create more opportunities than it's going to take away.
This is where I'm at, right? Like, so I got a lot of practice with R3 with Rue. Like, one of the things that was trying, like you set out to accomplish, one, get exposure for artists in this ecosystem, and then two, mint leaders, right? And then three, have fun and create the best Legion amusement park ever known, right? So on point number two, minting leaders, I came out of the Rue camp. And then now Prince K is also out of the Rue camp. And we had this thing called R3, which was the Rue Rapid Response. We were having public speaking. It was a very intimate session to where it was just a few of us, and we were talking and taking practice, like people unmuting their mics and just saying, hey, and doing some public speaking. It can be a little bit intimidating getting on your first space and unmuting your mic, right? So especially if it's a well-known space. I remember what it felt like whenever I first got my start. So that was the goal, is to kind of help people get comfortable doing that. And I love that point that you made, that human contact and interaction is going to be marked at a premium, right? It's going to be the most valuable asset that you can have is you being able to have social skills. And of course the AI is going to get better and better, and I don't know how much it's going to encroach on that, but I know for a fact that within the Stacking DAO and Zest discords, we are incentivizing people, like making content, showing up to the screen shares, and like unmuting your mic and getting involved and stuff like that. So it kind of like evolved as my role in the ecosystem evolved. So now I've carried the skills that I got from R3 with Rue over to my new position as Stacking DAO and Zest community manager, and now I'm using that in there. So like you definitely, I could say, like, you have accomplished a lot, Jack, in your time. I just want to give you your flowers, bro. You do a lot for this ecosystem. I know you sacrifice a lot for this ecosystem as well. So I'm truly thankful that you used your reputation within the community to bootstrap mine, and now I want to do the same thing to, you know, keep going, man. Keep minting more leaders. Can't ever.
I appreciate that, man, and that's a two-way street because it doesn't work unless like it takes two parties. So when I told you like during one of our original conversations what I told you, and you've seen it come to pass, it's like that's what you ultimately do. And I mean, Hero Gamer even talked about it today on X, where like that's how you grow people in the ecosystem, and the more people you grow, the stronger the ecosystem becomes. And I don't know how you put a dollar sign on that, but um, I do know that it's effective, and I do know it's the right thing to do. You
Like
know?
I agree. I agree that like not only is it the right thing to do, not only is it effective, but you're helping people, right? That's the most important part. Is that like you're helping people develop skills that may not, like, you're being a mentor to them is kind of going to be like a catalyst, and you want to be a catalyst to as many things in the ecosystem whenever it's as early as this as you can. Um, you have a real opportunity to be a trailblazer within our ecosystem and actually help people develop their skills. That's why I'm a big fan of Zero Authority and using their platform for on-chain reputation. I feel like there's some way I can incorporate these bounties and other features that they're going to have to help build and use my reputation that I've built within the community to keep bootstrapping, finding new prospects, seeing who fits the which roles, and um, I saw I shared this post earlier from Hero, right? So we were talking about the SIP AMA today. Let me find it real quick so I don't misquote Hero. But this SIP AMA, right? Uh, really, it didn't feel a whole lot like an AMA. It felt like kind of like a marketing call a little bit is what I saw. Sentiment just being completely transparent. Um, but I saw a point about maybe an unrecorded one would be nice because I feel like they feel pressured to be like, okay, here's what, like, very professional. Here's what Stacks is about in these AMAs, so to speak. Maybe an unrecorded AMA would like give them time to just kind of hear from everybody in the community, not have such a pressured time limit and stuff like that. So I did see that suggested, and I hope that that is implemented. Um, just maybe just the unrecord button where these guys from the foundation that are used to being very professional can just wind down a little bit and just realize that, hey, the people that are here taking part in the conversation are the ones that are going to hear it. So
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any legal requirements, on their end where they have to like
right,
record stuff like
right.
that or what have you. I don't know. But and the other part to just I think it's important to consider is everything's going to have a slightly different flavor to it, right? Like when you go on like one of Dave's spaces, you
Yep.
know it's going to be a Dave space, right? When when we go on and we have like the Stacks DeFi show or the Zest Town Hall, and so it's the stack spaces are going to be they're going to be a little different. I mean, and that said, like I'm glad they're doing so much more of that. That was the thing that struck me today was just like I'm proud that they're like doing such a good job with community outreach now. It's like 180
I
degrees
100%
from where
agree with that
yeah,
too.
you know like so I try to look at it overall and try to keep in mind that like not everything's always going to be perfect or just how I want it. So I try to find the good
You're
parts,
good at that.
right? And I agree with you though, like an unrecorded space, where people can just kind of like let
Yeah.
their hair down, so to speak. Um, that's a good idea, and if it's viable, I think
Yeah,
that
and
would be fun.
there's community members that have expressed that, like, hey, like, I don't like participating or getting involved whenever it's recorded, because it just makes me feel uncomfortable. I understand you have to get outside of your comfort zone to grow, but those people still deserve to have a place to speak where they have the comfort of, like, I'm not saying get rid of the recorded ones at all. I'm saying maybe a little bit of both would do justice to the conversation, and
Yeah, I
everybody
like
would
that.
be equally represented. So, um,
I mean, sometimes I think they're almost like when the foundation's involved, it's almost like you have to have a quorum and stuff. I think it's like a pretty formal thing. So I don't know enough about the regulations that we have to operate under to have a valid opinion, but I suspect that could
yeah,
be at play.
that's a very valid point, Jack. I just wanted to round back to this right here too. Is that this is what I was speaking on, right? So Hero Gamer, definitely give Hero Gamer 21 BTC a follow on X. He is one of our governance leaders in the governance cab, and also helped a lot with D grants, which is decentralized grants for projects. How to grow in Stacks 101. Level 1, observe. Level 2, engage. Level 3, lead. And level 4, mentor, right? So, and it's in response to Mr. Cyborg.btc. Oh, I'm not following him? Get out of here. XP tripping sometimes. OG, I'm relatively new, but it's great to see folks stick around, show up, and grow. Stacks community is built different. So this is pretty much your 101 on how to grow within the ecosystem. First, you sit back and observe how everybody else is kind of interacting, find a gap to fill, talk about other people's projects, kind of show that up from down with something in this ecosystem through observing, and then you engage. Well, that would fall under engage. First, like, observe, see how other people are posting, kind of formatting, how they're wording things. Then you engage by, like, retweeting, reposting something, making your own take, and making your voice heard. And then lead, you teach other people, kind of, or um, you implement that strategy and what you've learned from observing and engaging with the people that you like and are speculating on. And then you lead by example by making your post. And then third, fourth, you teach others how to mentor, or you teach others by mentoring. I butchered that, but you get the deal. And then also, see, mentoring equals minting leaders. This is the way from Jack and Switch. I love this. I'll share this. And then correct. That's how we grow the army. And then he said something very nice about me. He said, usually I'm at level 3. I try to do level 4 when I can. GPSC, that is me, GPSC underscore STX, is doing level 4 real well. So I really appreciate Hero and the part that he's played in my journey, man. We had the Stacking Dow screen share today. And look who just reposted with the eyes, like, earlier today. Prince K, of course, my guy. And then here, this was another thing, right? So, speaking on a talking point about D grants from House of Chimera, was one of the speakers in the speaking role on this SIP AMA today. 97 retention rate for Stacks D grants. That is wild, right? So key metrics here. Here's your KPI right here. 37 projects funded, 47 stewards involved, 145 applications, 90 milestones achieved. And then you get into the numbers here. Completion rate, 97%. That's crazy. Retention rate, people that are still here, still in Stacks after 6 months, 97%. That's huge. And here we go. So he says to House of Chimera, he says, very impressive. Were these all new devs, or were they a mix of old and new devs? I would, and he said, and here a response, I would say a ratio about 60% old devs and 40% new. Some of the best projects, like DeOrganized, we're on DeOrganized Nightly right now. Media project requested 0 funding. Media project now generating 2K viewership per day. Some of the best people like GPSC we picked up submitted applications but didn't get funded. Gone gone on to become multiple project ambassadors and community managers. People who stay long term and make impact. There is a lot more than just funding. They need a network of human support system to mentor them continuously and nurture them. It's too easy to give funding away and have short-term bursts, and those projects don't tend to stick around long term. So, seeing a 97, retention rate with D grants applicants, and whether they got funding or not, is very encouraging and shows how the network effect within D grants was very, very effective. There's mentors and a lot of different connections that were made through D grants. So I do agree with him, and thank you, Hero, for absolutely everything that you do, and always have my back. He's the nicest guy ever, dude. He's so nice, bro.
Yeah, Hero's a good guy. Hero's a good guy, and here's the deal, like, Stacks community is different. It's always been different. And people who see that, that's one of the things that they really like about Stacks. And when Stacks gets as successful as I believe it's going to be, when it's all said and done, people are going to look back and use Stacks as a case study on how this network became so successful, and especially the community dynamics.
I
truly
agree.
believe
It's
that.
gonna kind of be used as a like a prime example for other layers to hey, how do we make it work in a decentralized manner, right? What does the process of growing a grassroots community look like? In an environment where there's limited funding, like very, very limited funding, because it was an A+. It was very regulated. The launch of Blockstack is what Stacks was back in the day. Was very regulated by the SEC. The only crypto token that has an A+ rating with the SEC, right? So it was required to have a very limited treasury to start off with. I think it was something like 80 million STX or something in the last 6 years that was used for funding, something like that. I remember seeing it somewhere, and
we talk about it all the time. Like, Stacks, there's a formula for what every blockchain needs, and essentially you say funding, devs, community. Just to simplify it. And when you're talking about like retention rate of devs, what the vast majority of projects run into is they can't keep the devs to stick around. They can't keep the community to stick around. And their only ammunition is by throwing money, whether it's airdrops to the community or grants to devs. And that's why Stacks are a big case.
sorry, Jack. I just had to applaud to that.
No, I like that. I like that little sound machine because it was different. It grew different. It built different. It's got a different origin story. And so, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people very curious as to why that has happened. And it is incumbent upon us to continue to make the Stacks community good. It is incumbent on us to continue to share the values that have made this community good before we got here. And we're doing a pretty good job of that. And that's where the minting of the leaders comes in, because it has to go like that. It has to be like that. It's a good recipe.
And now we have this endowment proposal, right? To where, okay, like this is another good argument and / conversation to have, right? So, would you rather put your money in a speculative asset where you're like, hey, okay, say it's a Bitcoin layer, it's decentralized and it's promising abilities, and they have a treasury right off bat, so that's what they're going to use, like you said, throw money to get hype, right? Which is it's not sustainable. Or would you rather
Right.
park it in something that is secure, decentralized, and like literally has proven technology and now it's like, okay, well now we're going to increase emissions just a little bit, and just to have a war chest to be able to fund some different incentive rails, whether that be community, founders, new builders in the ecosystem, marketing. All of these things are going to be, proposed, and that is exactly what SIP 31 is intending to do, right? So for me, I feel like what the Stacks core devs and community has accomplished with such limited funding within the last 6 years, and I've only been here for about half of that, is a lot. And I would say I would pick the latter, right? You already have proven technology. You have a decentralized wrapped Bitcoin asset that you could earn 4%, almost like 4% almost for locking up in DeFi, right? On your SBTC. You have your first Bitcoin-backed stablecoin that is native to Bitcoin. It is a rune, so it is native to Bitcoin, right? USDH, hermetic. You have all of these base things taking place in Stacks right now, and there's real Bitcoin DeFi. So I think that was a very awesome argument that I think you were the one that brought that one up. And I wanted to get a little bit into that. Like I thought that was such a great like analogy, or like kind of like a thought experiment, so to speak, right? Um, how, yeah, get
No,
into
it's
it a little bit, you know?
no, it's true, man. Like a lot of people are quote unquote building like DeFi on Bitcoin, and that's great. I hope they do, because again, you shared that little snippet from the Genius Act bill, and I can only get so horny about the Genius Act. Like I'm glad that stable coins are where they're at now, because it's going to mean a lot more liquidity here and everything. But when then that part of me that prevents me from getting a 4 hour erection over this shit is like, okay, well, with a lawful order you can freeze funds, this, that, and the other. And so I see what's coming with, imagine like the COVID shots, except with a CBDC, when you say no, I don't want this vaccine or whatever it may be. Now your magical internet money can be frozen. Well, guess what? Not on Bitcoin. That doesn't happen on Bitcoin. And so you want to build using the value proposition of decentralized peer-to-peer transfers. That's where Bitcoin's value is derived. You can't stop it. Okay, so that's why I'm so bullish on Stacks, remain so bullish on Stacks, because we're building in a decentralized network on Bitcoin. Right. So I really don't care when it might be 2 years from now, it might be 20 years from now. When the day comes when it's like, oh, well, your JP Morgan crypto just got frozen because of some reason. And they put those kind of stipulations and things and make it sound good. Like, well, we don't want criminals to use, to use crypto for bad things. And everyone can be like, yeah, I don't like criminals either. That makes sense. Until they determine that you're a criminal, right? And because these things tend to change. You had people during COVID looking to lock people up for not taking a shot. So that worries me. And that's why I'm so glad Bitcoin exists. And I think that anybody building on Bitcoin with decentralization in mind is worthy of attention, and I hope they all succeed. Stacks, walks the walk and talks the talk. This is a decentralized network. And so if we're sitting here now looking at the whole journey back, how it came about, its whole origin story up until this point, now we're here, we're like, okay, we can get a war chest, and we can like expand our efforts greater than they've ever been before. It makes perfect sense. I mean, we've done things different up to this point. Why not continue to do that? And with the caveat being that we know that this formula of having this endowment, we know what can be done with it, what kind of results we can expect. And so it has to happen, because decentralization has to win. being able to build on Bitcoin has to work. Okay, being able to make an entirely different financial system that doesn't need the JP Morgans of the world needs to be able to exist. It's at this point it's existential as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. It is existential. That word, right? So tripping up on my words today. I think that people that are completely green to crypto and only know these big names like JP Morgan, don't you think that there's a learning curve involved in doing all of this that we're participating in to opt out of that system? Don't you think they're going to stick to what they know if the rails are there? So it is absolutely existential. And we need to be educating as many people about opting out of a failing system and not being, opting into the same system just disguised as something else.
Right. Yeah, I think the vast majority of what we're going to see with TradFi using crypto rails is not going to look much different to the user than the way that they currently participate in commerce. I mean, if I left my house right now and talked to 20 people and asked them what happens when you use your debit card, I guarantee you 16 of them would think that the vendor gets the money as soon as the debit card swiped on the machine. So like when you tell them, decentralized and peer-to-peer, none of this shit lands.
Yeah.
But
they don't know what fractional reserve banking is.
Right. Exactly. So people don't really understand this stuff. So I think a lot of this is just going to be business as usual for most people. But for people who don't want to opt into that, it's good to have this parallel system, not just for the people who use it now, but for those people one day if they ever need it. It's the same argument that you can make for Monero, with privacy coins, right? Like very few people talk about Monero. Look, Monero is, as far as I'm concerned, it's an essential. But
you get into like building
my
that
point
on
is
stacks too with things like blades.
Right. You need to be able to, people need to be able to choose, because right there in the stablecoin bill, which is probably going to be, adopted or mostly adopted by most nations who don't have any kind of legislation so far. The big takeaway there is, at the end of the day, your money's not your money. And guess what? That's a system you already live under. If you go to the bank and you go ask to take out a certain amount of money, sometimes you might get asked, well, what do you need that money for? It's like, motherfucker, right? None of your business. Did you put that money in my account or did I?
Wait a minute.
So, like, we already live under that system. That's why Bitcoin exists. Bitcoin's a revolution. It's a protest against that system. So and nothing ever goes as quickly as you'd like it to. But Bitcoin's here, and making Bitcoin more scalable and more usable, and easier to use, and all of these other things that Stacks will allow and does currently allow. Because again, we're not building DeFi on Bitcoin. We already have DeFi on Bitcoin. That's the advantage of being a first mover. You might own Super Runes or whatever it is and be really excited about it, but we were here first, and we already have
people that are excited about Virgils need to get their head out of the clouds.
So, we already have it, which means you're off to a great start. There's going to be a lot more innovation. The vast majority of innovation in this space hasn't even happened yet.
Just begun.
And so that's why it's so easy to be here, because this is important, and everybody here has a part they can play in it, and we need to keep playing that part. We need to keep, bringing people in and really creating an environment that allows people to understand why all this shit exists in the first place. Because it's not just number go up. And that's the other part. Like if you look at like now the pure Bitcoin side of things, the newest generation of Bitcoiners, they're different from the previous generation of Bitcoiners. You know, they might follow people who don't talk about anything about fractional reserve banking or why Bitcoin exists. It's all, I have a little money and I want a lot of money, so I'll buy Bitcoin.
Point them to Mahaffey.
And that's great.
Point them to Mahaffey. That's it. Like,
You know.
like he'll cover it all.
But yeah, like that's great. I like more money than less money too. But there's other things that make Bitcoin important, and the fact that you know we're all endowed with human rights, and Bitcoin is a guarantor of human rights. Not and that separates right there. Like this idea that government is the one that endows people with human rights is an error that is far too common these days. The government does not give you human rights. Under a good government, the government protects your human rights. It honors them and it keeps other people from imposing on them.
Let's dissect what human rights are, right? It's not appointed to you. They're your God-given rights. It's not appointed to you by a government at all. Who's like? Why do they have a say in any of it? Like your Fourth Amendment right? Your like it gets to the point to where it's like people are so blind that like, and don't get me wrong, people are waking up to it more and more now that crypto is going mainstream, right? Like so to speak, Bitcoin is going mainstream, so to speak. Institutional adoption phase is here, right? But like it's taken a long while and a lot of people fighting.
Yeah. Oh, if they could have stopped Bitcoin,
yeah,
they would have stopped it. Right now, it's just a matter of, okay, well, if we can't beat them, join them. Let's get as much of this shit as we can, right?
Rails, yeah.
But you know, one thing I'll give to the Bitcoin maxis is when you see like JP Morgan deploying their shit on Ethereum rails, you're like, okay, well, yeah, good. Let's chalk another one up to the maxis. They're good there. Where maxis lose me is where this idea that Bitcoin's they're precious, that you know it's just perfect as it is, and all of these things, and not even understand that Bitcoin's been changed. You know,
yeah, well,
over and
exactly
over
that, and then like let's think about what decentralization is, right? Like, don't you think you need to be a little diversified if you believe in decentralization? So even their core belief system can be kind of flawed sometimes. So,
yeah. Well, that's because you can't afford to be an ideologue about anything in life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can even have a good idea, but if you take it too far, you're probably going to corrupt your good idea with some bad ideas. I think that's true of anything. Like, I enjoy my Second Amendment rights, right? I exercise them. That doesn't mean when I go outside, I'm
right. Yeah, I get you.
You know, like you can take shit too far, but in terms of like seeing, you know, because this technology itself is very powerful. And if you pair it with tyranny, it's extraordinarily scary. And so, you know, the fact that Bitcoin exists is a wonderful thing. But that's why I believe so strongly in building on Bitcoin's use case. And Bitcoin's bare minimum use case is decentralized peer-to-peer transactions. And so if you build on decentralization and you build with decentralization in mind, in my world, you're on the right track.
I agree.
You know,
as long as like, so there's a different approach to like say there's like what 100 ways to skin a chicken or 1,000 ways to skin a chicken, something like that. Well, it's all about approaching it with an open mind and being able to give things a try, right? Like, okay, like for example, if you approach things with a closed-minded mindset, like you're not going to grow any. You're not going to find feasible ways to further, um, you know, empower yourself and take back your freedom. So I say don't like I'm one to say don't knock it before you try it. And you might just find out, and you might just learn something about yourself that you didn't know. I think that we have a lot of very passionate people here in our ecosystem, and we believe in the Bitcoin ethos. And the best way to extend that ethos to a layer two is Stacks, right? It's decentralized, it's secured by Bitcoin, it's permissionless and trustless. So like what more could you want in an ecosystem? If you go to an AI chatbot, right? Just like you said, there's going to be case studies on how Stacks, um, achieved what it did, right? Now, if you go to a AI, you ask it, what is the closest cryptocurrency that carries the Bitcoin ethos? It's going to tell you Stacks, right? The ethos of decentralization is very ingrained in every process that we have here, including the SIP process, which is a core component of the governance and how things are accomplished within the ecosystem. I think that the process to get the appointee committee together was awesome to take part in and actually, chime in and you know, say if I agreed, and then like maybe add some pointers to the list, right? And now we've kind of refined our list as a group of individuals that came together to set out to accomplish um, making this thing decentralized, this governance citizen.
Well, if you look at like everything the community says, like as a whole, if you took a list of the 20 most commonly said things by the community and you compared it to, these last few weeks of Alex talking and his post, and you see, oh wow, there's alignment, because he's talking like a community member. That's decentralized governance. And it's just important to remember that, like, Bitcoin in and of itself, because of the size of the blocks, if you think back to when everyone decided that it was time to build L2s, that was because of ordinals. That was because of a handful of degens. Literally, not that many people. Ordinals have yet to get big, but as big as they got was making Bitcoin transaction fees very expensive. Back when Bitcoin was, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, so like double that shit now in terms of transaction fees in USD, right? So imagine if everyone on the world who found themselves in some CBDC stricken hellhole where their government controlled their funds down to the last minute detail, or could, and you take, a billion people trying to transact on Bitcoin, what do you think the transaction fees are going to look like? People wouldn't be able to afford them, So like, that has to be a part of your calculus. So how do you make Bitcoin transaction fees cheaper? Or how do you plan for that, right? Well, you either change Bitcoin fundamentally, which that caused like one of the big rifts in Bitcoin early on with the block size wars, or you figure out other ways to scale Bitcoin. And while, you have something like Lightning, which, that can scale Bitcoin, but Lightning's not as good as Stacks.
There's no programmability aspect.
So like at the end of the day, that's why I'm so bullish on Stacks. If you take all of these things into consideration, building with decentralization in mind, the fact that Bitcoin is still like definitely the best cryptocurrency, and today should, hammer that home to people if they read the Genius Act. And then the fact that Bitcoin does need to be scaled. If you take all of those things and you put them together and you're like, okay, Bitcoin L2s are where it's at. Where's the L2 where I need to be? Stacks is it.
Yeah, dude. I think that we've covered like every base. There are a few more, but like I think that for a sound, like if you wanted to learn about stacks, you know who to follow, you know how to get into the know, right? You know how to stay ahead of the curve, um, and you know that DeOrganized is where it's at. So like I think that we have a very well-rounded crew of individuals that have a good head between their shoulders, that knows how to kind of lead people in the right direction to accomplish anything that you set out to do on Bitcoin via Stack. So, um, really thankful for your time, Jack. Like, I always love getting to have our conversation, and especially like I love Prince K too. But like, whenever it's like me and you, and we're kind of riffing and like getting to the bottom of things, like relevant things that are going on in our ecosystem, relevant discussions that are taking place every single day. We are taking part in those discussions. So I think that we represent the community well. I think that we represent the builders that are building here well. And I think that, you know, I'm very bullish on the process of getting the right people on this Treasury Committee and this endowment and having a war chest slash rocket fuel for Stack. So I think where we're going is up and to the right. I think that right now is a grand buying opportunity. We're in a major discount right now, and it's only a matter of time until things start rotating around like every other cycle, right? And some say the cycle will be a little, everybody has a different thesis. Some say that the cycle will be a little bit different. I think that it'll be similar with a different ring. Like it'll ring just a little different, but it'll still be similar. You'll see things run that traditionally like they run, right? Like that.
Well, you can take one thing to the bank. They are going to start printing
Yes.
money here soon, especially if they decide to drag us into another war. Like, so I mean, if people want to look at crypto prices and all of these different things, if TradFi hadn't been piling into Bitcoin the way they have been, Bitcoin would probably still be $30,000-$40,000. If we were just dealing with retail, well, guess what? Everyone else is still just dealing with retail. So the print's coming, and that's when people are gonna start getting the big green candles all over the place because they're gonna turn the printers back on. It is what it is. Another reason Bitcoin needs to exist.
Like, you're gonna turn that printer back on. There is no like debt ceiling, right? They can always raise it more, and they can always print more. There's no limit to the M2 money supply, right? So therefore, there is no top for Bitcoin. So I think that you're right. You're gonna turn those printers back on. We have an FOMC meeting tomorrow, I believe, going down. So maybe we might see rate cuts. They've already started rate cuts in other countries across the globe. So in order to be competitive, we need to and that all leads to one thing. That leads to printing. So and especially with the war on the horizon, I've seen this on the timeline once or twice. Is that we're about due for a black swan. So let's say black swan event on war news, money printer go brrr, and then new all-time highs. How plausible is that? You say 50-50, or do you say more than 50-50?
I'd say so, man. I mean that seems as likely as anything else. You know, I'm really bummed out about the whole war thing. I don't think that I don't think that what's happening in the Middle East is our business. I don't think that we should be going around, when one country attacks another one, you let shit
can't
go.
afford to
Okay.
be the world's police anymore. That's my opinion.
Right. That's not what the people in this country voted for. My heart goes out to the people in Israel. My heart goes out to the people in Iran because you know what? At the end of the day, you're talking about a bunch of people. You're not talking about the governments. Like, I hate my own government. Like, that doesn't mean that I'm responsible for all the shit my government does. If my government did what I wanted it to do,
Right.
things would look a lot differently. So, I think it's awful. But I think when you're playing around with stuff like this, you know, because I'm old enough to remember, like when we went back into Iraq, you know, the very first Gulf War, Desert Storm, I was a little kid, so I didn't really understand it a whole lot, other than like, you know, my teacher, he was in the Marine Reserves and he had to go, and I was very sad about that.
Right,
So, you know, like my teacher, but I remember 9/11, and I remember all the Gulf shit very well on the second go around. And it's the same story, just with a slightly different wrapper this time. Oh, there's weapons of mass destruction. Oh, we
Got
just got to
some
do
reason to
this,
be over there.
and it's
And somebody's
right. Maybe we'll just drop a few bombs and it'll be okay. No, man. Like it's never that cut and dry. It's never that easy. So yeah, could you see a black swan? Oh, 100%. And I think even without a black swan event, they're still going to print. If we just want to go into war, they're going to print.
People in suits aren't the ones that are suffer. They're not the ones that are suffering from this, right? So that is the use case. Bitcoin, not war. Like, and now we're seeing this start to happen.
Tragic.
Yeah. So you say feasible? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you ever read The Creature from Jekyll Island, which I strongly recommend everybody read, especially if you enjoy Bitcoin, you'll learn about how fiat currency came into existence in the first place. And I'll give you a spoiler alert. It's because a king needed to finance a war and he didn't have enough money.
Okay, so little spoiler alert there, guys. So here, I will pull this up, and you guys need to check out this one because the legend says so, and that's the bottom line because the legend says so. The Creature from Jekyll Island, and Jekyll Island, is that an SC? Yeah, dude. So yeah, I'm familiar with Jekyll Island. So
yeah, Jekyll Island's where the Federal Reserve was birthed, man.
I have
to
read on this, Jack. I think
you ain't got time to read. You're gonna have to
oh
listen
yeah,
to
you
audio
know me,
book,
man. I do nothing. I do nothing but grind, bro. From 6:30 to 9:30, I'm at the desk and I am grinding very, very hard. So yes, the audio book is gonna come in clutch. Jack, we are rounding about that hour and a half mark, man, and you know I just wanted to you know, like I gave you your flowers earlier, and I also, you know, wanted to thank you again for spending your most valuable asset with me is your time, right? Getting to kind of get into this, and I hope that this discussion inspires others to do their research. And you know, of course, this is not financial advice, but like, you know, go check it out, guys. Jack, did you have any other additional you know, things that you want to add to this conversation? Any final thoughts, final frequencies, shameless shills, you name it, the floor is yours, man.
No, I want to return those flowers to you, man. Like, keep killing it. You know, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing right now. And you know, regardless, you know, what happens in the short term, because again, nothing ever happens on the timeline we want it. If we're building with decentralization in mind, if we're focused on that, like that's the escape hatch, that's a path to a better world. I truly believe that. Like in terms of like the material world, spiritual world's a whole nother matter, but the material world itself, fixing the money is one hell of a good place to start. And that's what Bitcoin does. And so in Stacks, what we're trying to do is build on that concept. So, you know, it might take a while, but I think we're on the right track. I'm extraordinarily excited about SIP 31 and everything all of the progress that's been made. I'm excited about the community involvement. I'm excited for the way that the entities in Stacks and the community have come together to craft, you know, the best solution possible. And I'm really looking forward to the outcome of this. And I believe the outcome is, especially with good timing and good stewardship, it'll be like turning a whole new chapter in Stacks' history.
Yes, this is the turning point. I feel like it is the most like it's up there with one of the most important points of Dax's history. And I agree with everything you said, man. You fix the money, you fix a lot of problems. So that's what we're aiming to do. And yeah, man. I hope that you have a high frequency rest of your night, man. And thank you, Jack. And we'll do it again tomorrow, like we always do. We're grinding hard. So
Yep.
have a good night, Jack.
That's it.
Later, man.
Later, brother.
And this has been another based episode of DeOrganized Nightly, where we get your favorite Giga Brain Astronaut Scholars into the same room, have a dope conversation about Bitcoin news, crypto news, world news, you name it, we got it, and we're bringing it to you live. Be sure to tune in to the Let's Go Morning Show at 8:30 a.m. ET, Monday through Friday, along with the DeOrganized Nightly segment at 7 p.m. ET. Go to DeOrganized.media, go set up your profile, start earning some dApps, and go visit the show schedule to stay in the know. We've got podcasts, we've got spaces, all of the spaces that you need to know to get yourself prepared, and how to link up with the people that you need to get whatever you want to set out to do to get accomplished within Bitcoin via Stacks. You can meet them there. So you guys have a blessed rest of your night. We are going to do it all again tomorrow, and it's hump day. We're going to get over that hump together, and we are going to keep the vibes high. Keep loving the room, guys. I'll catch you on the flip side. You guys have a good one. Peace.